My name is Babajide Ashegbeloyin, and I work with First City Monument Bank. I drive the bank's engagement within the tech ecosystem. I'm also very excited to be here today. This is, first of all, our first episode of Epic Hour by One, and we're very excited. And we're also very excited by this topic and theme that we'll be handling today. And today's theme is the ingredients for building a grade A tech startup. Why this team is also very interesting today is Tosin Eniolorunda, the founder. From a banker's point of view, I know TeamApt, and we've seen the fantastic job that TeamApt has done in supporting banks and the financial sector in general through their excellent software applications and different services and products that they use to support the financial tech ecosystem in general. So today, I would like us to sort of pay rapt attention as Tosin shares within his own perspective what he regards as the ingredients for building a grade A tech startup. Because we believe, and I believe that what is being built at TeamApt is a grade A tech startup by the vision and mission upon which it was set up by Tosin. So I think I don't know if Tosin is on the call yet, but if he's not on the call yet, I think we'll just hold on for a bit while he joins in on the call. But I think we are rest assured that he's going to share with us very interesting facts and very interesting insights based on his experience. So I learned that he's running a bit late, and he should join us in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So thank you everyone for joining. And also this is also an opportunity for those that haven't joined to join. So once more, thank you for joining in for One Epic Hour, powered by First City Monument Bank and supported by Passion Incubator. Thank you.
Hi, hello.
Hi guys, hi Tosin.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, very well. So thank you for joining in. It was you we were waiting for, and I think we'll just go ahead and let you do your thing. So today basically you're just having a conversation with us on ingredients for building a grade A tech startup. So from your own perspective, from your experience as you continually build TeamApt, we want you to share with the persons in this meeting today or on this webinar today, your own perspective, and it's going to be, a true life experience-based engagement. Part of what we try to do, we bring individuals that their experiences are not theoretical, so it's real life experience as it concerns building a tech startup. So thank you, Tosin, for joining us, and I'll just hand it over to you, and thank you.
Okay, thanks for having me, Babajide. And you guys can see that I'm in a car. I'm actually in a meeting, meeting one of the key ingredients, an instance of one of the key ingredients to building a successful startup, which is people. And it's in a public place, so I have to come to my car to take the also because of that, they also pardon me for my slides. I'd rather just have a heart-to-heart conversation with everybody, like you have said. It's really, I mean, there's a science to it, clearly, and there are some key main things that you need to know. But with all those key main things, the way it applies to everybody is similar, but also sometimes different. But the key main principles generally remain the same. Let me first of all even do, I mean, I'm happy that you guys invited me. And let me just do a mini encouragement to everybody in the house. And it's not cliched, right? Just work hard at what you're doing. You might succeed, you might not succeed. But generally, the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? So let me just start with that. Let me just throw this open to the house. Whoever gives me the best answer in the next 30 seconds will, what should I have? You have my respect. I wanted to say I'll give you some money, but maybe you don't need that. You have my respect. I want to ask the house a question. Can anybody here tell me what do you think is most important for a successful startup? Let me hear your opinion first. You have just 30 seconds. Unmute and just make your call.
Good evening.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, everyone, good evening. I think what makes a successful startup is the team. Amidst everything, the team. We could raise funding.
Is what?
Have a good team. Is the team?
Is what?
The team.
Is the team? Got it.
Yeah.
So what's your name? What's your name? Okay. Emmanuel. Okay. David said the founder's will and vision. Who else? We have a few seconds to go. Oluwafemi said zeal to solve a problem. Who else? Who else? Who else? I need answers, please. All right, what do you think? Orefa Lomo. All right, are you there? Is this the same Ore that I know?
Yes, I am.
How are you?
I'm fine.
What do you think is the most important thing?
For a startup, to build a product that people actually like.
Right, right. Shashwat, what do you think is the reason? Is it number one in key ingredients?
An idea.
What? Idea, got it. Strong vision. Okay, I think everybody has a good grasp about it, but that's actually not the number one thing. The number one thing is timing. You could have a very great will, a solid team, a solid idea, excellent funding, brilliant business, but the time is not right. So the number one thing is timing, and that's literally nothing that nobody controls. You just need to be lucky to be born at that time, or to be ready at that time. I think that's one of the biggest humbling factors. And you don't hear a lot of entrepreneurs say this. The reason is because it's a lot, vain, and it's a lot, you're proud of yourself when you can come and say a couple of things about what you have done, vision, I was pretty, Elon Musk is guilty of that. That guy is just telling his business. The number one thing is timing. Oh, by the way, he's brilliant, by the way, and I respect him a lot. So he's a brilliant dude and he deserves what he has. But number one thing is timing. And timing is literally nothing that nobody controls. Let me give you examples of timing. Timing is why Bill Gates was born in the early, I believe in the early 50s, and was born into Silicon Valley. At the time computers were being created, timing and chance, essentially. Chance is what is the fact that he was born into a family that was rich enough to send him to a school that had a computer that early. Timing is the same thing for Steve Jobs. They were born at about the same time to the same region in the hotbed of computer science. Timing is that Jeff Bezos was ready for entrepreneurship, having finished school, worked in venture capital, was just ready to start an entrepreneurial endeavor at the time that internet was just developing. Timing is the same thing Elon Musk has. It's a tale. Timing is what Tosin Eniolorunda had in 10. The reason why I'm saying timing is what will allow you to be able to differentiate that, okay, the time for this product idea that I have is right, and the time is not yet so right. And timing is not what a lot of us control. Timing is why there has been a lot of startups before Jumia. Jumia is still struggling, by the way, but before Jumia, but the infrastructure was just not right. So I think all of us need to first of all know that, and that thing just generally has to be an humbling factor in both the fact that when you're making it, you also know that there are a lot of things that are just in control in this endeavor. So let's take that down. That's the number one ingredient. Timing is the number one ingredient. You need to know the reasons why it's time. Sometimes you don't know it's time, to be honest. Sometimes it's when you actually struggle at it that you now look backward and just, oh, the time was right. Sometimes you also know the time is right. Sometimes you also know the time is not right. For example, if you want to build a startup on quantum computing now, you want to build a startup that is a consumer startup on the basis of quantum computing, but quantum computing is not yet ready for mass market, perhaps you might have a wrong timing. If you want to build a startup now on, let's say, you want to build a new GoDaddy domain, and you don't have a specific different idea, and it's not like there's something else fundamentally different that you want to do, you might just not have the right time because people have built successful businesses from that. So let's put that. What will be the second one? I think a lot of us have said it. Number two is actually the team. It's not the idea. It's actually the team. The reason is because a lot of successful teams actually go through good and bad ideas. And that's why there's this word called pivot that we all know about. That's what a team does. When you have a solid team, team will generally, and the time is right, you generally, do different iterations and you find the right thing. A good team is a team initially is a generalist team, which means that everybody will do a bit of everything. You generally need a builder, you need a hyper, you need that's somebody that will sell it. You also need somebody that will arrange the whole thing together. So you just need somebody that will be able to build, you need somebody that will sell it. Those two things are just very important. So an ideal team will have at least those two components, build and sell. So it depends on the background you come from, business or sales or technical. You might overestimate or underestimate the other parts. But both two parts are equally very important. I mean, because some of us would have gone through this whole, especially the engineering background guys would have gone through this route that says, hey, I have this idea. Come and join me. I'll give you 10%. And you're looking like, do you think you're the only one that has an idea? That's like a business guy, maybe a sales guy, trivializing engineering. Or maybe an engineer, you just be like, if I build this thing, it's going to be built on this framework, this technology is going to be cool, very scalable. And you build it and nobody comes to buy it. So a right team is a team, at least in the beginning, that can build as well as sell. Those two things are very, very important. But if I'm going to even put a bit of both, I'll actually put a bit more on selling. I'm an engineer, I have an engineering background. But actually put a lot more premium on selling. As long as the time is right, even if you build a shitty product, sometimes you have traction and you can figure it out down the line. So the second thing is the team, and in your team, you need to have someone that can build and someone that can sell. Number three is the idea. You can see the idea is not even number one. And everything I'm saying has to do with a certain research that has been done in the past about some of the biggest startups in history, how they were found. Uber, for example, was just found at the right time. At the time where internet was ubiquitous, at the time where Google Map was ready, right? At the time where smartphone penetration became ubiquitous. It was just the right time. If you built it at a time where smartphone was not ubiquitous, you fail. If you built it at a time where there was no proper map data, you fail. WhatsApp was formed at a time where smartphone became ubiquitous, right? Became ubiquitous. Everybody began to have smartphones. Everybody began to have data, and text messaging was expensive. So that's when the idea now comes, because you now have the right, the time is right, and the team that can execute it is there. Then you now have the right idea. There are 0 to 1 ideas, right? These ideas are groundbreaking, that depend on some secrets that nobody really knows about. And as a matter of fact, every good idea epiphany that you're going to have that others don't particularly have, right? And that idea, you have enough data, you are clear, you have evidence that this thing is going to make it different from what is currently obtainable. Sometimes this idea is based on the technological breakthrough that you have done. Sometimes it's done by a hidden secret. For example, Airbnb. I'm sure when the guy was talking about it, when they were talking about the ideas, it was counterintuitive. Oh, you mean people are going to rent out their homes as hotels? And you mean that you're going to go against the likes of Sheraton? You're going to go against the likes of the Radisson, the hotel chain? I'm sure some people passed on them. But the founders had a certain epiphany, probably have tested it, and they knew that the motivation or the kind of cash that people will make renting their hotel is big enough that some people can actually even begin to use that as a business. If you go in Lagos now, most buildings in Lekki are being bought or being rented, are being bought to be rented out as Airbnb. So idea is actually something like you need to have an idea, and that idea is going to be based on a certain epiphany that's not common knowledge, a certain secret that's not common, and you will be able to clearly explain it, even if others can't see it. And oftentimes, you hear this whole thing that keep working harder, your time will come, never give up. My brother, if you don't have, or my sister, my brother and sister, if you don't have clarity on why this idea is actually going to succeed, by clarity, I mean you have it very clear. You're not guessing. You just know that you need to solve certain problems. Please give up on that idea and move on to the next thing. The only time that you should not give up is that when you have clarity, this is going to do, and these are just the things I need to solve. Then at that point, don't give up, because when you give up, you fail. You can see that this is how I'm going to do it, but these are all the things I need to get to do. These are all the things I need to do to get it done. My brother, don't give up. My sister, don't give up at that time. Move on. But otherwise, give up on your idea. Move on to the next one. There's no shame in it. Those are 3 things. The first thing is now your business model. The business model is basically, okay, this idea, how do I want to sell it? So you have to do things like distribution, how growth hacking, pricing. So all these things. Now, if you have a startup like that where you're working, you're both operating at the same time. You both have solid terms. You're working on the same idea. The next thing that will differentiate them is their business model. So maybe somebody's doing a freemium model, and that person is going with a subscription model. Somebody is going with an on-site deployment model, and that person is going with a subscription model. Somebody is going with an advertisement model, and that person is going with a will sell your data model. And this is at the point where you need to know your business very well, know what your audience or what your customers can pay or what can resonate with them for you to maximize traction as well as maximize return. You don't want to price too high. You also don't want to price too low. You just want to find a sweet spot for the niche of your customers for pricing. And you also want to have the right pricing model where you'll be able to build and maximize the value out of the idea that you have executed so far. And after your business model is now when you have funding. So the fact that we've seen a lot of startups raise a lot of funds over the years has generally people skewed a lot of people's expectation on the use of funding. So let me give you an example. We are the largest agency business in the country. Agency banking business, basically all these players operators in the country. Our nearest competition is OPay. Till date, we raised just $5.5 million. OPay till date has raised $110 million. And we managed to still be better than OPay. That's an example of how every other factor can actually where every other factor can actually overshadow funding. Now, this is not to say that funding is not required, but what you should see funding as should be rocket fuel. If you see funding as rocket fuel, my brother, my sister, you're not going to find a problem raising. What does rocket fuel mean? It means that we have our engine set up, it is ready to take off, we've validated it, it is clear, customers want it, we just need to have more customers and solve these problems. That's take off. And maybe after you have collected the first one, the next one is, okay, we've been growing high, now we need to move to the next level. This is the opportunity we have seen, we have tested it, we want to put in more funding. Then at that point, that's the way you should see funding. Funding should not be the first thing that you're looking for raising as an entrepreneur, where you've not validated your business, you don't have a paying customer, at least you don't have an MOU, you should not be doing that. You see, entrepreneurs are a bit like sharks. Sorry, funds, investors are a bit like sharks. The moment they see a good kill around, they start circling around you. The moment you have a good business like this that's really interesting, you'll be surprised at the way investors will be cutting you. Whereas others are actually going around really looking for investors, and investors are just elusive, they are giving you different kind of attitude. The moment they see that your business is actually going to be interesting and going to become one of they are coming after you and they are going to actually start making your peak. All right. So I believe that if there's any entrepreneur that you're lucky enough to be at the right time for the idea you want to push, you've built a rock star team and you found an idea that's viable. You've managed to build a good business around it, and you've managed to actually have enough funding to push it through. You are your path to actually build a successful business startup. Thank you, guys. I would like to take questions. The way I want to take these questions, I want you to just think through your journey so far, apply them to some of the things I've said, and maybe you're going to have questions on how maybe certain challenges that you might be having currently, or even if you also kind of like think differently about some of the things I've been saying so far. Thanks. Questions?
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
My name is Davidson. Okay, my name is Davidson. I'm the co-founder of Hostel.ng. So, I have a few questions about
Did you say hostel?
our business. So, yes, student hostels. We help students get the easiest way for students to get the perfect accommodation. So we basically help students off campus find accommodation around school. So recently we ran some beta testing on short hostel leasing. So this is allowing students in school to be able to lease out their rooms to short travelers. So basically, we allow students to turn their rooms to like hotels. So it helps them to make money while they're in school, and at the same time, make enough money to settle part of their rent for the year. So when we launched this test, we had demand for the stuff. But the problem we had was there was not enough supply of rooms. So we went out to meet students to get them to try out the service, to convince them to lease out their rooms to short travelers. So our major problem is that we found out there is actually a law that prevents tenants from subleasing their room again to someone else. So like an agreement, tenancy agreement between the landlord and the student. Even though we've at least had some paying customers when we launched the service the first time. So now my issue is it advisable to, as well, still early stage, to keep on getting students to use the service like that, or we should hold on until we get our legal backing to continue the journey?
So essentially, should I continue? Should I forge through or give up? So first of all, if you have an idea, or sorry, if you're onto something, you need to know how big it is. How big it is going to determine what price you are going to pay for it. And I think I did not mention that enough on idea. It's very important for you to know how big your idea is, because the size of the idea multiplied by the execution is like a formula for the kind of value that you realize from it. Now, so the hostel leasing idea, how big is it? Is this something that will generate 10 million, 1 million a year, or 10 million a year, or $10 million a year, or $100 million a year?
Yes, thank you.
And what's your own personal plan? So when you start from that, then next thing we now know, how much am I willing to pay for this? Now that will sometimes inform by how much am I willing to pay for this? That's what's going to make you determine the kind of solution that you can come through to solve the problem. So that solution will be sometimes, okay, this thing is slightly illegal, but you know what? It's worth it enough that I can actually begin to invest in changing the laws in that area. Like, can I go and tell all the landlords that if you allow your tenants, like, then if you are renting out this place at 300K per year, you can start renting it at 600K per year, because your tenants will start making 700,000. Or the idea is so big now that you can actually tell the landlords that, why are you renting out to one person? Why don't you go and rent it out to short tenants guys that are coming around, all around? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it's the commercials around it. When you put your focus on the money around it, sometimes it allows you to be able to creatively solve the problem that you have at hand. So I just give you examples of the kind of things that you could do. Now, with that in mind, it will allow you to be able to know if this is a go or no to go when you begin to pair it together with how big the opportunity is at hand. If the opportunity is like something that's going to generate 10 million naira per year, but the problem that you're going to solve, the way you're going to solve it is going to take out 15 million naira per year, then you don't care now. I mean, there's no point with that, right? So, but if you have thought through it, you have seen that, okay, the only way to solve this, that there's a way to solve this that's going to cost us 1 million naira per year, then there's 9 million naira per year there. Awesome, let's do it. And sometimes maybe, and this is where some other founders will also get lucky. Some people solve it at 10 million naira per year, and they generate 10 million naira per year. But they articulate a way in which they think that solving that this 10 million naira per year can be solved, can drop to become 1 million naira per year in a couple of years' time. But we need funding to be able to get to that time. So investors will look at that, this thing is growing really fast. You know what? I'll put my money into it. So sometimes you have unprofitable startups that people are actually funding. The summary of what I'm saying is knowing to give up or not to give up is dependent on, you need to first of all validate how big that thing is, because that thing is the opportunity cost. Remember that the time you are spending on that thing is time you are not spending on something else, right? And that should generally be your litmus test for what you should work on. Like if you are spending time on this thing now, that's there's an opportunity cost for it, and that's the cost of the other things that you're not spending time on. So if there's another idea or there's something else you could have worked on that will generate 100 million per year, but you're working on something that generates 1 million per year, you're not making investments over time. So when you have that in mind, it will also now give you an idea of how much you are willing in terms of your own time and in terms of the kind of resources and solution that you're going to come to solve that problem there. So, and this is generally also dependent from use case to use case. And in your own use case, I've just given you an example of the kind of solutions that you can give to it. But that kind of solution can only come when you have quantified the opportunity at hand.
Okay. Yeah, really. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I really learned a lot from what you said.
Do you understand? Do you get it? Hello?
Yes, I do. I did.
All right.
All right. Hi, Tosin.
Hi.
My name is Chinedu, and a prospective founder still at the research phase. But I have this question, and what I've noticed over time is for most startups, the initial stage is the most difficult phase. And so I just want to ask, like, as regards networking and networks, how were you able to get your first client, in this case, your first bank, to believe in your service?
How was I able to what?
How were you able to get your first client, in this case, your first bank?
Okay.
And sorry, and the follow-up to that is, aside banks, aside your first client, like how have you also been able to navigate through the government policies, the unstable government policies in Nigeria? So, like, two questions.
Okay. I mean, I think that the point here is about the team. So because I'm one of the team members, right? That's the point. That's the section here. And remember that the team is the number 2 reason after timing for success of a startup. And somebody has said it that when there's a will, there's a way. So we all have different personality profiles. Some people are naturals at relating with people. Some people are analytical. Some people are human, like humane, understanding people, earthy. Some people are really, really, aggressive and all, right? I mean, there's this personality profile called a color wheel that sometimes puts some of those things into perspective. You have a blue. The blue is an analytical mind, likes to understand things thoroughly. You have a red. A red is a forceful person, likes to move quickly, likes to move fast. You have a yellow. A yellow is a bubbly person, a friendly person, a people person, life of the party type person. And a green. A green is an earthly person. He's also a people person, but in a much more, humane manner, trying to ensure that everybody is fine. Whereas the bubbly guy can just be bubbly and, not really just be thinking through people, right?
Yeah.
So as a founder, one of the many important things is for you to know yourself and know your strengths. And when you know yourself and know your strengths, you place your areas of strength. Now, if you know that some people don't find networking a problem at all, it's not work. They literally enjoy it. These are people that go to clubs. Me, I don't understand clubs, for example, now. Right? I don't understand clubs. Yeah. So if you understand yourself, networking might not be a problem. Right? So the next is not about just finding opportunities for networking, but the networking is a problem. Me, for example, networking is a problem for me. I enjoy my space. I'm more blue and red than yellow and green. So especially relates to how did I find myself through being networking. I took the approach of products instead, which is if I have something to sell for you. And by the way, that's the approach of products is generally gives more returns than the approach of just knowing people. You know, there's this common thing that people say about that your network is your net worth, right? It's true in a way, but the difference is that you can only network when you have value to offer. So if you don't have value to offer, your network, you will not even be able to build a network for it to be worth your net worth. And it's actually most times the other way around, is to build value, and at that point, people are happy to associate with you, and you now even find networking easier that way. So the main thing around this, knowing yourself, knowing the personality profile you have, you now begin to work around that. And working around that essentially means to have build is to actually have value first. And when you have that value, you actually naturally attract people, or when you find yourself in scenarios where you are with people, they have something to hold on with you. So building networking becomes easier. The main too long didn't read. TLDR, build value. Networking will come naturally. Government regulation and all that is also similar. It's literally build value. If you build value and you also have the right team, you have the right material, you find a way to be able to navigate around many of the complexities of government. So the summary of it is your will and your vision as a founder, together with building value, that will generally allow you to be able to network better and work your way around some of the regulatory issues that you might have.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Any more questions? I have till just before 5. I think we go now.
So do we have more questions? So that we don't more questions. So that we don't. So what I would like to do is appreciate Tosin for your realness and how you approach this in the most pragmatic way. Like I did say in the beginning, that one of the reasons why we have designed Epic Hour is to have individuals of your experience come and have real streets, share real street experience with other prospective tech startup founders or existing startup founders. So thanks a lot, Tosin. I think we really appreciate this session. You shared some very, very deep philosophical nuggets that someone was already sharing in the chat. And I do hope that next time when we run calling, you would well, thanks to everyone who took their time to attend this session. Part of what we're going to do is to also ensure that we publish the recorded version so that individuals that may not have attended can also access this great information from Tosin. Thanks a lot, Tosin, and thank you to everyone.
Thanks, Babajide, and thanks everybody for having me. Have a lovely day.